She mocked him, until the apex hunters refused to fight. Layer upon layer of floating platforms circled a hollow center. Each platform held representatives of different species, all watching, all waiting. Some were armored giants with glowing eyes. Others were thin, floating beings surrounded by light fields. Many had weapons displayed openly, as if to remind everyone that peace in the galaxy was always temporary. At the very center of the arena stood one man. Elias Vorn wore no armor. His clothes were plain, dark, and practical. No symbols, no weapons, no visible technology. He stood with his hands behind his back, calm and still, as if he were waiting for a train instead of judgment. The sound of voices filled the air, translated instantly into every language. Is that really the human? That's all of them now? One. They survived their own planet with that. Laughter rippled through the platforms, not cruel in tone but confident, certain. These were beings who had conquered stars. Humanity to them was a recent story, barely worth footnotes. Commander Cethrix stood above Elias on a raised platform shaped like a blade. She was tall, her body covered in smooth silver plating grown directly from her skin. Her eyes were sharp and bright, designed to intimidate. She had commanded extermination fleets and ended wars before they began. She looked down at Elias and did not hide her amusement. "So this is humanity's answer," she said. "One unarmed male, no enhancements, no defensive shell, no visible combat systems." She tilted her head slightly, studying him like a curious animal. "Do you know where you are, human?" Elias looked up at her. His expression was neutral, polite even. "Yes," he said, "this is the proving arena. And do you know why you are here?" "Yes," Cethrix smiled wider. "Then explain it to us. Explain why your species believes it deserves independent status among the apex civilizations." The crowd quieted. This was the part everyone enjoyed. The begging, the promises, the desperate displays of courage that always came too late. Elias took a slow breath. "Humanity is here," he said, "because we were invited." The silence that followed was sharp. Then the laughter returned, louder than before. Cethrix let it happen. She enjoyed it. When she raised her hand, the sound faded again. "Invited," she repeated. "You misunderstand. This is not a diplomatic summit. This is a trial. Species fail here, often." She gestured toward the far side of the arena. A massive gate opened, revealing darkness beyond. "You know what comes next?" Elias nodded once. "Yes." Cethrix's eyes narrowed. "You seem very calm for someone about to be tested." "I am calm," Elias replied, "because I know the rules." That caught her attention. "Oh," she said, "then recite them." Elias did not hesitate. "A species may be tested through combat, strategy, endurance, or fear. The testing authority chooses the method. However, participation requires consent from all designated apex hunters assigned to the trial." A few members of the council shifted. Cethrix did not like surprises. "You have done your research," she said. "That will not save you." "I am not trying to be saved," Elias said. Cethrix turned sharply toward the council. "Summon the apex hunters." The words carried weight. The apex hunters were not soldiers. They were legends, engineered beings created by multiple civilizations working together long ago. They were designed for one purpose: to hunt anything that threatened the balance of the galaxy. They had never refused a hunt. The gate on the far side of the arena opened fully now. Light poured in as massive shapes stepped forward. The hunters were tall, broad, and terrifying. Their armor was grown, not built, layered with scars from battles across centuries. Each one carried weapons that could erase cities. The crowd leaned forward. Excitement spread like fire. Elias did not move. The hunters stopped at the edge of the arena floor. One of them lifted its head, then another. Their weapons remained inactive. Cethrix frowned. "Advance," she commanded. Nothing happened. A low murmur spread through the platforms. "Advance," she repeated louder. Still nothing. One of the hunters shifted its weight. Another turned slightly, its attention focused not on Elias but on the data field hovering beside him. A simple projection that had been there since he arrived, ignored until now. Cethrix noticed it and felt irritation rise. "What is the delay?" she demanded. One of the hunters spoke. Its voice was deep, layered, and ancient. Clarification required. The arena fell silent again. "Clarify what?" Cethrix snapped. The hunter's gaze moved fully to Elias now. "Human representative," it said. "Specify your classification." Elias met its eyes. "We are humans," he said. The hunter paused. "That is not sufficient." Elias nodded. "I understand. We are a survivor species." The hunter's armor shifted slightly as if reacting. Another hunter spoke. "Timeframe requested." Cethrix stepped forward. "You do not question prey," she said sharply. "You hunt." The first hunter did not look at her. "Timeframe requested," it repeated more firmly. Elias considered for a moment. "Which would you prefer?" he asked. "Early development, industrial era, or expansion age?" The reaction was immediate. Weapons powered down completely. Several members of the council stood from their seats in shock. Cethrix stared at the hunters, disbelief turning quickly into anger. "This is unacceptable," she said. "You are bound by treaty to—" "We are bound by survival law," one hunter interrupted. It turned fully toward Elias now. "Human," it said, "have you engaged in extinction-level conflict?" Elias answered calmly. "More than once." The hunter's eyes dimmed slightly. "Have you fought without certainty of survival?" "Yes." "Have you continued despite catastrophic loss?" "Yes." A long pause followed. Cethrix felt something she had not felt in centuries, unease. "This is nonsense," she said. "All species experience hardship." Elias spoke before the hunters could respond. "That is true," he said, "but not all species build stories about it." "We do." The hunter tilted its head. "Explain." Elias clasped his hands behind his back. "Humans learned early," he said, "that the universe does not care if we are afraid, or tired, or hurt. Predators did not stop hunting us because we cried. Storms did not stop because we begged. Other humans did not stop fighting us because it was inconvenient." The arena was silent again, but this time it was different. Listening silence. "We adapted," Elias continued. "Not because we were strong, but because we had no other option." Cethrix interrupted sharply. "Enough. This is a combat trial, not a lecture." The hunter turned toward her slowly. "You authorized prey without full disclosure." Cethrix felt the eyes of the council on her. "They are human," she said. "That is disclosure enough." The hunter looked back at Elias. "Final clarification," it said. "Are you here to fight?" Elias shook his head. "No," he said. The crowd reacted instantly. Confusion, amusement, outrage. "Then you have already failed," Cethrix said triumphantly. Elias looked at her, calm as ever. "I am here," he said, "to be witnessed." The hunter did not move. "Witness what?" it asked. Elias met its gaze without fear. "What happens," he said, "when a species refuses to disappear?" The hunter was silent for a long time, then it stepped back. The other hunters followed. Gasps echoed through the arena. "This trial is suspended," the hunter declared, "pending review." Cethrix felt cold rage rise in her chest. "You cannot do this," she said. "You have never done this." The hunter looked at her. "There are reasons for that." It turned away. Elias remained standing alone in the center of the arena, unchanged. The laughter was gone. No one mocked him now. And for the first time since humanity had reached the stars, the galaxy did not look down at them. It looked carefully. The arena did not empty after the hunters withdrew. No one spoke either. The silence stayed, thick and uncomfortable, as if the air itself was waiting to see who would move first. Elias Vorn remained where he was, standing at the center of the arena floor. He did not relax. He did not smile. He simply waited. Years of experience had taught him that moments like this were more dangerous than open threats. Confusion made powerful beings careless. Commander Cethrix broke the silence. "This is a delay," she said, her voice sharp and controlled. Not a verdict. Her words echoed through the arena, translated instantly, but they did not carry the authority she expected. Too many eyes were no longer on Elias. They were on the retreating apex hunters, whose massive forms disappeared behind the closing gate. The council members began to speak among themselves. Some were angry, some were curious. A few looked uneasy. Cethrix turned back to Elias. "You will remain here," she said. "You will not leave the arena floor." Elias inclined his head slightly. "I was not planning to." That calm answer irritated her more than defiance would have. "You are not in control here," she said. "No," Elias agreed. "I never was." She studied him closely now, trying to understand what kind of being could stand so still while standing alone before the most powerful civilizations in known space. "You expected this," she said suddenly. Elias did not deny it. "I hoped for it." "Hoped," she repeated. "You walked into a trial designed to break species, and you hoped." "Yes." Cethrix gave a short, sharp sound that might have been a laugh. "You are either very brave or very foolish." Elias looked up at the council platforms. "Those two things," he said, "often look the same from the outside." Before Cethrix could reply, a tone sounded across the arena. It was deep and resonant, a signal reserved for council intervention. "The human representative will be escorted to holding," a council voice announced. "Pending review." Cethrix's jaw tightened, but she stepped aside. Two automated sentinels descended, their forms smooth and neutral. They did not point weapons at Elias. They simply waited. Elias followed them without resistance. As he walked, he felt the weight of countless stares. Some were hostile, some curious. A few carried something else. Respect, maybe, or fear. He had learned not to assume. The holding chamber was nothing like a prison cell. It was clean, well-lit, and spacious. The door sealed behind him with a soft sound. Elias sat down on the single bench and let out a slow breath. He allowed himself exactly 10 seconds to feel tired. Then the door opened again. Commander Cethrix entered alone. She dismissed the sentinels with a gesture and stood facing him, arms crossed. "You disrupted a sacred process," she said. "Do you understand the consequences of that?" "Yes," Elias replied. "Then why do it?" Elias looked at her carefully. "Because the process is broken." Cethrix's eyes flashed. "You insult every civilization that agreed to it." "No," Elias said. "I challenge it." She stepped closer. "You think your species is special." Elias shook his head. "No, I think we are common." That answer stopped her. "Explain," she demanded. Elias leaned forward slightly. "Across the galaxy," he said, "there are species that grew strong on safe worlds, gentle gravity, stable climates, no constant extinction threats. They built civilizations before they built resilience." Cethrix said nothing. "Humans," Elias continued, "did not have that luxury. Our planet tried to kill us daily. Disease, weather, animals, each other. Survival was never guaranteed." "You think that makes you superior?" she asked. "No," Elias said softly. "It makes us familiar." Cethrix frowned. "Familiar to what?" "To loss," Elias said. "To fear, to starting over." She straightened. "Every species knows loss." "Yes," Elias agreed. "But not every species learns to live with it." The room was quiet again. Cethrix studied his face, searching for arrogance, for deception. She found none, only certainty. "You did not bring weapons," she said. "You did not threaten force, yet the hunters stepped back." "That was their choice," Elias said. "You showed them something." "I reminded them of something," Elias corrected. "What?" Elias looked past her as if seeing something far away. "What it costs to survive when there is no one to save you." Cethrix turned away sharply. "You are dangerous," she said. Elias nodded. "So is misunderstanding." She stopped near the door. "The council will review your archives," she said. "If they find deception." "They won't," Elias said. She looked back at him. "You are very confident." "No," he replied. "I am honest." She left without another word. Time passed slowly after that. Elias did not know how long he sat alone. Minutes or hours meant little in a place like this. Eventually, the room's wall shimmered and a projection formed. An apex hunter appeared. Not its full body, but its upper form, detailed and clear. Its eyes glowed faintly. Elias stood. "Human representative," the hunter said, "you were not ordered to receive visitors." Elias met its gaze. "Neither were you ordered to speak with me." The hunter paused. "That is correct." They regarded each other in silence. "You frightened the council," Elias said calmly. "They fear instability," the hunter replied. "You introduced it." "I introduced truth," Elias said. The hunter considered this. "You are unlike other prey," it said. "I am not prey," Elias replied. "Not today." The hunter did not argue. "We accessed fragments of your species' records," it said. "They were extensive." Elias nodded. "Why preserve so much suffering?" the hunter asked. Elias thought carefully before answering. "Because forgetting it makes us repeat it," he said. The hunter's armor patterns shifted slowly. "Many species erase their worst eras," it said. "Yes," Elias agreed. "We study ours." "Why?" "Because someday," Elias said, "we may face something worse." The hunter was silent for a long time. "You did not ask for protection," it said finally. "No. You did not ask for alliance." "No. What do you want?" Elias answered without hesitation. "Understanding," he said. The hunter leaned closer. "And if the council denies it?" Elias' expression did not change. "Then we will continue alone," he said, "even if that leads to extinction." "Yes." The hunter studied him closely. "You accept that outcome." "We always have," Elias said. "That is why we keep going." The projection flickered slightly. "You are aware," the hunter said, "that some now argue humanity should be monitored." Elias smiled faintly. "That is better than being ignored." The hunter straightened. "The council will reconvene," it said. "Your presence has altered the trial beyond expectation." "That was not my goal," Elias said. "But it is the result," the hunter replied. The projection faded. Elias sat back down, alone once more. Far above, the council argued. Some demanded humanity be restricted. Others insisted the hunter's reaction meant something deeper. Sithrix listened to them all but said little. Her thoughts kept returning to one image, a human standing unarmed, unmoving, while legends refused to advance. She did not like unanswered questions. And humanity, she was beginning to realize, was full of them. The council chamber was built to feel balanced. Every angle, every light source, every sound frequency was carefully chosen so that no single species would feel smaller than another. It was meant to prevent fear from shaping decisions. It was failing. The chamber was full, yet restless. Representatives shifted in their seats, their forms glowing, clicking, breathing, or humming in ways that betrayed unease. Data screens floated in the air, filled with symbols, images, and translated text. Most of them showed the same thing: human history. Commander Sithrix stood at her station, arms behind her back. She had faced rebellion, invasions, and extinction events without doubt. Now she faced something far more uncomfortable: perspective. A council member spoke, its voice smooth and measured. "These records are excessive," it said. "No species documents failure at this scale." Another replied quickly. "No species survives failure at this scale either." The images shifted. Ruined cities, frozen landscapes, crowded evacuation ships, medical tents overflowing. None of it glorified, none of it hidden. Sithrix watched silently. A third voice cut in, sharp with suspicion. "This could be manipulation, selective presentation." The apex hunter liaison appeared as a dark silhouette at the edge of the chamber. "It is not," it said. "We verified the data independently." That silenced the room. The hunter continued. "Human records show repeated cycles of collapse and recovery, loss followed by adaptation. Each era ends worse than the last predicted, yet the species continues." A council member shifted uncomfortably. "That does not make them dangerous." "No," the hunter replied. "It makes them persistent." The word hung in the air. Sithrix finally spoke. They still failed the trial, she said. There was no combat, no endurance test, no demonstration of power. The hunter turned toward her. They demonstrated restraint, it said. That was not the requirement, Cithrix snapped. The requirement, the hunter replied calmly, was assessment of threat and viability. Another council member leaned forward. And your assessment, the hunter paused. They are viable, it said, and they are a long-term variable. Cithrix felt irritation flare. You speak in uncertainty. Because certainty would be dishonest, the hunter said. The chamber fell quiet again. Far below in the holding chamber, Elias Vorn sat alone. He had been offered food, water, rest. He accepted what he needed and refused nothing, but he did not distract himself. He listened to the faint hum of the station and waited. He was not anxious. This was not the first time his species, future, rested on strangers who did not understand them. A soft sound announced another visitor. This time it was not Cithrix. The being who entered was small compared to most council species. Its form was wrapped in layered fabric, and its eyes were dark and curious rather than hostile. I am Counselor Thel, it said gently. May I speak with you? Elias stood. Of course. Thel studied him carefully. You are not what we expected, Thel said. Elias smiled faintly. We hear that often. Thel tilted its head. Do you know why some fear your species? Yes, Elias replied. Then explain it to me. Elias considered his words. Because we are unfinished, he said. Thel's eyes narrowed slightly. Unfinished? Yes, Elias said. Many species reach stability before they leave their home worlds. They solve survival first, then expand. Humans expanded while still solving survival. That sounds irresponsible, Thel said. It was, Elias agreed. But waiting was not an option. Why not? Because our problems did not pause, Elias said. They grew faster than our solutions. Thel was quiet for a moment. You showed the hunters your past, it said, but not your future. Elias nodded, because we do not know it. Then how can you ask for trust? I am not asking for trust, Elias said. Only accuracy. Thel folded its hands. There are those who believe humanity will eventually challenge the apex balance, it said. Elias did not deny it. We might. That is a threat, Thel said softly. It is a possibility, Elias replied. So is stagnation. Thel looked troubled. Do humans seek dominance? Elias shook his head. We seek continuity. Explain. We want tomorrow, Elias said. Not control of others, just the ability to keep going. Thel studied him for a long time. You speak as if extinction is always near, it said. Elias' voice was quiet. For us it always has been, Thel rose. The council is divided, it said. Your presence has forced questions we have avoided for centuries. Elias inclined his head. Then this was worth it. Thel left. Time passed again. When Cithrix returned, her expression was different. Less sharp, more guarded. You have supporters now, she said. Elias remained seated. I did not ask for them. No, she agreed. That may be the problem. She paced slowly. The council debates classification, she continued. Some argue humanity should be restricted from military expansion. Others want observation. A few argue immediate alliance. And you? Elias asked. Cithrix stopped. I argue caution, she said. Your species is unpredictable. Elias nodded. So are most young species. You are not young, she snapped. You are unresolved. Elias smiled slightly. That may be our defining trait, she faced him directly. Why did the hunters truly refuse, she asked. Not the official answer, the real one. Elias met her eyes. Because they recognized the pattern, he said. Not strength, not technology, but behavior. What behavior? The willingness to stand in loss and keep choosing to exist, Elias said. Hunters are built to end threats. They saw that we do not stop becoming one even to ourselves. Cithrix's jaw tightened. That is not reassuring. No, Elias agreed. It is honest. She turned away. The council will soon demand a final demonstration, she said. Not combat, something else. Elias waited. They want you to answer one question, she continued, and that is, if humanity were faced with inevitable defeat, Cethrix said slowly, what would it do? Elias did not hesitate. We would slow it down, he said. Cethrix frowned. Slow it down. Yes, Elias said. Long enough for someone else to escape, or learn, or adapt. That sounds like sacrifice, she said. It is, Elias replied. We have practiced. She looked at him, truly looked this time. You expect us to believe you would die for strangers? Elias shook his head. No. I expect you to believe we already have. The room was silent. Cethrix exhaled slowly. The council reconvenes soon, she said. Your fate will be decided. Elias stood. Whatever the decision, he said, thank you for listening. She paused at the door. You may have changed the galaxy, she said. Elias answered simply. We changed ourselves first. She left. Above them all, the council prepared to make a choice, not about power, not about war, but about whether a species that refused to give up, even when it should have, belonged among them. And for the first time, the answer was not obvious. The council chamber filled again, but the mood was different this time. The restless energy from before had turned into something heavier. This was no longer curiosity or confusion. This was responsibility. Elias Vorn stood at the center of the chamber now, not in the arena below, but among the decision-makers themselves. He had not asked for this position. It had been offered after long debate, and refusing would have sent the wrong message. He stood quietly, hands relaxed at his sides. The council leader spoke, its voice calm but firm. Human representative, it said, your presence here marks an exception. Few species are allowed to address this council directly. Elias inclined his head. I understand. You have been asked one final question, the leader continued. Your answer will conclude this trial. The chamber grew silent. If humanity faces an enemy it cannot defeat, the leader said, one that will inevitably destroy your civilization, what is your response? Elias did not answer immediately. He looked around the chamber, at beings who had lived for centuries, at species who had never known starvation, never known planetary collapse, never known the fear of waking up and wondering if today would be the last day their world existed. He spoke slowly, clearly. We prepare, he said. A ripple of reaction passed through the chamber. Prepare how? Another council member asked. Elias clasped his hands behind his back. We do not assume survival, he said. We assume loss. Then we ask what can be saved. That is defeat, a voice said sharply. Elias turned toward it. No, he said. That is triage. Murmurs spread. We record everything, Elias continued. What we learned, what we failed to learn, what mistakes we made, we send it forward. Forward to where? A council member asked. Anywhere, Elias replied. Anywhere life might continue. Cethrix watched him closely from her place at the edge of the chamber. And if there is nowhere to send it, she asked. Elias met her gaze. Then we become the message, he said. The chamber was silent again. The apex hunter liaison stepped forward slightly. Clarify, it requested. Elias nodded. If we cannot win, he said, we resist anyway, not because we expect success, but because resistance creates delay. Delay creates time. Time creates opportunity. For whom? A counselor asked. For someone else, Elias replied. Even if we never meet them. Cethrix felt a chill move through her. You would sacrifice your entire species, she said, for beings you do not know. Elias shook his head. We would sacrifice ourselves for the idea that the universe does not get to decide everything, he said. That is irrational, a council member said. Yes, Elias agreed. Humans are very good at that. The council leader raised a hand, quieting the room. You speak of loss as if it is familiar, it said. It is, Elias replied. And yet your species continues to expand, the leader said, to explore, to innovate. Yes, Elias said, because we learned something early. What? That survival is not the same as living, Elias said, and living requires risk. Cethrix stepped forward now. You are asking us to accept a species that does not retreat when faced with extinction, she said. That does not surrender. That does not stop. Yes, Elias said. That is exactly what the Apex system was designed to prevent, she said. Elias did not argue. I know, he said. The hunter spoke again. This behavior pattern, it said, matches criteria for uncontrollable variables. Elias nodded. We have been called worse. Some council members reacted with discomfort. Others leaned forward, listening more intently. The council leader spoke again. Human representative, it said, you have not once promised obedience, alliance, or limitation. That is correct, Elias said. Why? Because promises made under fear are not honest, Elias replied, and honesty matters more than approval. The chamber was quiet. Cethrix closed her eyes briefly, then opened them. You are not afraid, she said. I am, Elias replied. I just do not let it decide for me. She studied him. You could have exaggerated your strength, she said, hidden your weaknesses, threatened retaliation. Yes, Elias said, that would have been easier. Then why didn't you? Because you would have seen through it, Elias said. And because we are tired of pretending to be something we are not. And what are you? She asked. Elias answered without hesitation. A species that keeps going, he said. The council leader rose. The council will now deliberate, it said. Elias bowed slightly and stepped back. The chamber doors sealed. Time passed differently inside the waiting chamber. Elias sat quietly, alone again. He thought of Earth, of cities that had fallen and been rebuilt, of people who had faced impossible odds and still chosen to stand. He did not know what the council would decide, but he knew humanity would endure the answer. Eventually, the doors opened. Cethrix entered, followed by the council leader and the Apex Hunter liaison. Their expressions were solemn. The council leader spoke. The council has reached a decision. Elias stood. Humanity, the leader said, will not be tested further. Elias did not react. You will not be restricted, it continued, nor will you be bound by forced alliance. Cethrix took a breath. You will be recognized, she said, as an independent civilization. A ripple of sound echoed through the chamber beyond the doors. But, the leader added, with a designation never before granted. Elias waited. You will be classified, the leader said, as a persistent species. The apex hunter stepped forward. This classification acknowledges, it said, a species that does not meet traditional threat models yet cannot be ignored. One that resists extinction through will, adaptation, and continuity. Cethrix looked at Elias. It means, she said, the hunters will not hunt you. Elias inclined his head. Thank you, he said. Cethrix studied him carefully. This does not mean trust, she said. No, Elias agreed. It means awareness. The hunter stepped closer. We will observe, it said. Learn. Elias met its gaze. That is all we ask, he said. The council leader turned away. The session is concluded, it announced. As Elias left the chamber, the weight of the moment finally settled on him. Humanity had not won a battle, had not displayed power, but it had been seen. And sometimes that was enough to change everything. Only one thing remained. The galaxy would now have to decide what to do with a species that refused to stop. The announcement spread across the station faster than any official broadcast could control. Humanity had been recognized, not tested, not conquered, recognized. Elias Vorn walked through the transit corridor alone. The walls were transparent, showing stars drifting slowly past. Normally, such a view made visiting diplomats pause in wonder. Elias did not stop. His mind was already moving forward. Recognition was not safety. It was attention. Behind closed doors, council members argued quietly. Some feared what humanity might become. Others feared what it already was. The designation given to humans had no clear rules. A persistent species was not an ally, not an enemy, not prey, and not a protector. It was something new. Commander Cethrix stood on a balcony overlooking the docking bays. She watched a human vessel prepare for departure. It was small compared to Council ships. No intimidating weapons, no excessive armor, just functional design. She had spent centuries believing in clear lines, threat and non-threat, control and chaos. Humans did not fit those lines. The apex hunter liaison appeared beside her, silent as ever. "They are leaving," Cethrix said. "Yes," the hunter replied. "You did not oppose the council's decision," she said. "No," the hunter answered. "Why?" The hunter did not respond immediately. "Because," it said finally, "they reminded us of something we were designed to forget." Cethrix turned toward it. "And what is that?" "That survival is not always efficient," the hunter said. "Sometimes it is stubborn." Cethrix watched the human ship drift away. "Stubborn species cause problems," she said. "They also solve them," the hunter replied. The ship entered slipspace and vanished. Elias stood on the bridge as the stars stretched into light. The crew around him said nothing. They had all heard the broadcast. They knew what had happened. Captain Rhea Morgan broke the silence. "So," she said, "we're officially noticed." "Yes," Elias replied. "Good noticed or bad noticed." Elias allowed himself a small smile. "That depends on what we do next." The ship settled into steady travel. Elias looked around at the crew, scientists, engineers, security officers. Ordinary humans doing extraordinary things because there was no other choice. "Message from Earth incoming," an officer said. Elias nodded. "Put it through." The hologram formed. Leaders from different regions appeared. Some looked relieved, others worried. "You did it," one said. "No," Elias replied. "We spoke, they listened." "That's the same thing," another said. Elias shook his head. "No," he said. "Winning changes how others see you. Being understood changes how they treat you." A pause followed. "What happens now?" someone asked. Elias took a breath. "Now," he said, "we act exactly the same as we always have, carefully, honestly, and together." The transmission ended. Far away, the council reconvened without ceremony. This meeting was not about humanity directly, but it kept returning to them. "They will expand," one member said. "So will others," another replied. "They will adapt," a third said. "So should we." Cethrix listened quietly. "What concerns me," she said at last, "is not their strength, it is their response to loss." Several heads turned toward her. "They do not collapse when they fail," she continued. "They learn, they adjust, they continue." "That is not unique," someone argued. "No," Cethrix said, "but they do it without reassurance." The hunter liaison shifted slightly. "They do not expect rescue," it said. "That changes behavior." The council leader spoke. "We cannot control them." "No," Cethrix agreed, "but we can choose not to provoke them." Silence followed. Back aboard the human ship, Elias sat alone in his quarters. For the first time since entering the arena, he allowed himself to feel the weight of it all. He thought of the past, of Earth's long history of mistakes and recovery, of how close humanity had come to ending itself more than once, of how each time someone had chosen to continue anyway. A soft signal sounded. "Enter," Elias said. Captain Morgan stepped inside. "You should know," she said. "Traffic control reports increased observation." Council drones, hunter sensors, were being watched. Elias nodded. "That was inevitable." "Are you worried?" she asked. He considered the question. "No," he said. "This is better than silence." She studied him. "You changed how they see us," she said. "We changed how we see ourselves," Elias corrected. "How so?" Elias looked at the distant stars. "For a long time," he said, "we believed survival meant proving we were strong. Today we proved something else." "What?" "That we don't stop," Elias said. "Even when stopping would be easier." Captain Morgan smiled faintly. "That sounds like us." Days later the first test came. A distant system reported an anomaly, a failing star, unstable energy output. Several species evacuated immediately. Others debated whether intervention was worth the cost. Humans arrived without announcement. They did not command. They did not threaten. They brought evacuation plans, emergency shelters, and engineers willing to work until exhaustion. When asked why, the human response was simple: "We've practiced this." The council watched. The apex hunters watched. Human ships stayed longer than advised, lost equipment, suffered damage, but they adapted, they learned, they helped others escape. When the star finally collapsed, humanity had already left. Losses were recorded, mistakes were documented, improvements were planned. The council noted the behavior. Weeks passed, then months. Humanity did not expand aggressively. It did not demand influence. It simply continued: trade, exploration, assistance when asked, silence when not. Some species relaxed, others grew uneasy. The apex hunters met privately. "They do not escalate," one observed. "They do not retreat," another replied. "They persist," a third said. This pattern repeated over and over. Then came the incident. A fringe civilization attempted to exploit a human colony, not through force but pressure, trade manipulation, resource denial, a quiet attempt to force compliance. Humans did not retaliate, they adapted. They restructured supply lines, shared technology internally, reduced dependency, continued operations without confrontation. The exploit failed. The council took notice. "They did not punish," one member said. "They outlasted." Cethrix closed her eyes briefly. "They learned that from suffering," she said. Time passed. The phrase "persistent species" entered common language. It stopped sounding like a warning and began sounding like a description. Elias Vorn stood once more before the council, this time by invitation, not trial. "You were right," the council leader said. "You did not seek dominance." "No," Elias replied, "we seek tomorrow. And if tomorrow brings conflict?" the leader asked. Elias answered calmly. "Then we will face it," he said, "and keep going." The apex hunter stepped forward. "We have updated our directives," it said. Cethrix looked sharply at it. "You changed your core function." "No," the hunter replied. "We refined it." "And how does humanity fit into that?" she asked. "They are no longer a potential hunt," the hunter said. "They are a reference." Elias raised an eyebrow slightly. "A reference for what?" "For resistance without annihilation," the hunter said. "For survival without erasure." The chamber was quiet. Cethrix looked at Elias. "I mocked you," she said openly. "I underestimated you." Elias inclined his head. "That is understandable," he said. "We did the same to ourselves once." She studied him carefully. "You will change the galaxy," she said. Elias shook his head. "The galaxy will change us too," he said. "That is how growth works." As Elias left the council chamber for the last time, no one laughed. No one dismissed him. No one doubted him. The apex hunters did not bow. They simply watched. And for them that meant respect. Far across the stars, humanity continued, not as conquerors, not as saviors, but as something the universe had learned to recognize. A species that refused to disappear. A species that, when mocked, did not answer with anger, but with time. And time, in the end, was something humans had learned how to use.